Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Here's the news update at 2. I'm Ruth Aguala. Katsina Police Command says only 10 out of about 40 Muslims abducted by bandits during Tahajjud midnight congregation prayer at Abuja in Katsina State are still missing. Confirming the incident through a telephone chat, the command's public relations officer, Superintendent Gambo Isa, said the worshippers were abducted around 2 in the morning at a newly constructed mosque at the outskirts of Abuja town. SP Gambo Isa, however, said the combined efforts of security personnel made many of the captives escape, leaving only 10 persons missing. He said security personnel are still on the chase of the bandits who are heading towards Zamfara Forest. The Sultanate Council of Sokoto has called on Muslims Ummah to look for the new moon of Shawwal on Tuesday, 11th May 2021, which is the 29th of Ramadan 1442 after Hijrah. A statement signed by the Chairman Advisory Committee on Religious Affairs, Sultanate Council Sokoto, says the sighting should be reported to the nearest district or village head for onward communication to the Sultan, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar. The moon sighting can also be reported through the following numbers on the screen. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said on Monday that if wealthy nations hug COVID-19 shots while millions in poor countries died waiting for them, it would amount to vaccine appetite. Reports say South Africa and India have been pushing for a waiver on some intellectual property rights for vaccines and medicines at the World Trade Organization. South Africa has ordered enough COVID-19 vaccines for 46 million of its 60 million people via bilateral deals with Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer. The shots will be made locally by Aspen Pharmacare. And back home for us, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control has confirmed 37 new cases of COVID-19 in the country. Now, this brings the total number of confirmed cases to 165,419. 156,297 have been discharged, while 2,065 deaths recorded. And those are the stories we have for you at this time. Thanks for your time.
For the first time since its about 5 decades of existence, the Nigerian Law School now has a session spilled beyond 1 calendar year. And I expect that we all know the reason. It is part of the effect of the pandemic. Now, the session that started sometime in January last year, 2020 that is about being concluded now. And that is good respite for the Nigerian Law School. But so many other things have to be done to make sure that the law school recovers from the effect of the pandemic. This is what we're going to be looking at, and another parastatal under the Ministry of Justice on the scale today. Welcome to the program. I am Femi Okeowo. Yes, I hinted that we're going to be taking a look at some parastatals, 2 parastatals under the Ministry of Justice. We're going to look at the Nigerian Law School and also the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria. But we're going to start the program with an interview with the Director General of the Nigerian Law School, Professor Isa Chiroma Hayatu, who speaks to us on some of the steps that have been taken to recover from the lost grounds caused by the pandemic. Of course, the session that has been on since last year has to wind up. Exams have been concluded now, and the students are ready to go into the market. Of course, that will be after call to bar. But then, let's speak first to the DG Nigerian Law School. How has the Nigerian Law School coped? Give us a picture of how it has coped, because the school locked down for more time than any other institution I know.
Yeah, it's true. Thank you so much. COVID has affected every sphere of our life. The law school is not an exception. These students were admitted in 2020 January. Our own expectation was that they were to graduate by August last year. Here we are, March 2021. Virtually, they have been here for 1 year, 3 months, the longest students on our own campus. Too many issues. The cost of diesel running in our system, paying electricity bills, running water, medical facilities, and so on. The list is endless. We've coped. Students are about to write exams. That's why we are. Fortunately or unfortunately, also we have about 1 students who are on ground. This will also extend for another 3 or 4 months. The Council of Legal Education also has approved this year that National Open University students will be here. This makes our job much more complicated. Too many students at the same time. But one thing I want to assure you that the council will not, the law school will not stop its activities. It will continue. We've asked the government to intervene seriously, because we are in a situation whereby, like you said, it's unprecedented. The responsibility is enormous. We have going to have 4 sets of different students in this academic session. And I'm sure government will listen to what we've said, because apart from the National Open University, students are coming from universities. You know, as well as on strike for 1 year, yeah. This has complicated what we are doing here also, because students will come to law school, whether we like it or not, from universities. This year also, we are having about 10 new universities coming to law school. They have never been here. Even if they have quarter of 50 students, translated into about 500 new students. It's not an easy one. You've seen it. Our facilities have been run down. There's increased number of students. And like you've said, the COVID also came with its own challenges. A lot of people are getting sick. We need to address it. Not only a normal sickness, but things that are more complicated than we had in the past. But we'll use this medium to appeal to government again to look at what we are doing and how government can intervene. I'm sure the National Assembly too this year will look at it in terms of budgetary allocation, because we're in a serious situation that needs serious assistance from government.
Yeah. Since we're talking about COVID, let's pick one of the areas you dealt with, health.
Yes.
How I hope the pandemic has not created a spread on campus.
No, it has not. What we did virtually, when government asked us to shut down, we did. But when students were coming back, we invited the NCDC. They trained our staff on our pharmaceutical needs. We've done this for all the campuses. They've asked us what to put on ground, and I'm sure if we go around, you see all these facilities, and it's replicated in all the campuses. We're grateful to God that we never had any challenge in terms of health since we started. I will pray that this will continue.
Okay.
Yes.
Now give us what you are likely to do. I know that the Nigerian Law School has in the past treated backlogs before.
Yes.
And so this is certainly not the first time, but this backlogs looks a little different.
It's different.
How are you likely to cope with it?
Well, fortunately, the government has approved also that we should employ about 50 new teachers. We're in the process. Like I've told you, where government is a listening government, I'm sure there will be intervention in terms of budgetary allocation. in terms of special intervention for us to run this program. We are the only institution that does this kind of training in Nigeria, and government knows in the last 59 years we never gone on strike. It means the system is functioning very well, and I'm sure government, both the executive arm and the legislative arm of government will do some interventions for the law school.
One question came from students,
Yes.
and it's like they expect that an institution as mighty as the Nigerian Law School should have a word with the NYSC,
Yes.
particularly considering what universities have gone through,
Yes.
and what the Nigerian Law School
Yes.
is going through.
Yes. Well, NYSC is a governmental institution. We interface with them when the need arises. Well, what the students were asking us is to say NYSC should not do its orientation because law school students are going to join the next 2 weeks. You know, it is very unreasonable to ask NYSC to do this. But I'm sure NYSC will look at it. I'm sure there will be another batch of corpus going for orientation. I think these are areas where we can interface with the NYSC. But to ask NYSC not to do orientation camp because law school is writing it, I think it will be very unfair to NYSC and very unreasonable on our own part.
Now, let's look at your internal affairs. We're told quite a number of developments are going on. The clinic has been upgraded and all that. Now, how has your administration helped to lift the facilities, the facility level of the Nigerian Law School?
Well, it's managing program management of our little resources. We channel our resources towards our basic needs, issue of water, electricity, health, and students, because these students pay the school fees and it's for their own benefits. And that's what I think we've done.
Only just about 4 years ago, we had new campuses.
Yes.
Is that likely to be something on the pipeline with this kind of...
No. We are not thinking of having new campuses. We want to consolidate, develop the ones we have on ground, give the adequate facilities. If we have adequate facilities, these campuses are enough. Our major challenge is the facilities. The new campuses have land mass. They have, it can take many more students. The only thing lacking is the facilities, and I'm sure government is aware of this.
Yes, it's not just the academic environment that has been affected by the pandemic. Indeed, all sectors of our livelihood have been affected. One area, too, that you would expect slowed down is in terms of representation of litigants. Litigants have to be represented in court. And one institution that was set up by government to represent the indigent in Nigeria in litigations is the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria. And they too have had to slow down a little bit. Of course, the courts where they represent these litigants were shut for some time, and then they came on through virtual hearings. But then the prisons too had to be closed to outside visitors. And these are major steps that would always affect the services rendered by the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria. But then let's see how they too are coming up and are giving services for the very many indigent persons, including Boko Haram suspects that have to be represented in court. Let's speak to Aliu Abubakar, the Director General of the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria. How has the pandemic affected your operations in the Legal Aid Council?
Somehow, the judiciary was a little bit progressive in their thinking, and they made it possible in such a manner that some courts were able to sit. And based on that, we were able to perform minimally, try to perform our functions of defending our clients in court. So, but in answer to your question, the truth of the matter is that not only the functions of legal counsel, the performance of legal counsel, every aspect of life was affected by the pandemic.
Now, we can't do enough of enlightenment on the duties and responsibilities of the Legal Aid Council. Much as you think that a lot of people know about your activities, a lot more still tell you what do they do. So can you use just the next few minutes to talk about what the Legal Aid Council is in the Nigeria?
Thank you, Femi. You know, it is very funny. The more you think that people are aware of the Legal Aid Council, the more you realize that majority of Nigerians are not even aware of the existence of Legal Aid Council, much less the reason for which the council is established by government. Now, we realize that publicity, sensitization is a capital-intensive issue, and probably because of the limitation of funds available to the council, it has not been rosy along the line. But somehow, since I came in, we have tried as much as possible through the cooperation of some media houses, NTA inclusive, as much as possible. And we have tried to see how we can be able to get across to the Nigerians so that they could be aware of the existence of the council and the reason for which the council was set up. And it is so simple, Femi. If you look at it clearly, it is a constitutional requirement for each and every one to be represented by a council of his choice when he has conflict with the law. And it happens that majority of the Nigerian people are indigent. Majority of them that have one thing or the other to do with the court system cannot be able to afford the services of private legal practitioners. And this is where the Legal Aid Council comes in. Government, in its wisdom, in order to assist the process of rule of law and make sure that justice is given to each and every one, decided in its wisdom to set up the council. In the past, it used to be in respect of criminal matters. Somehow along the line, the mandate of the council was expanded. By 2011, the law that repealed the Legal Aid Act in 2011 expanded the mandate to include civil cases, mediation, and a lot of other issues. So the bottom line is that as of today, if you have issues with the court or with the law, you can rely on the services of lawyers from Legal Aid Council to defend or prosecute your matter in court. Thank you.
That is if you are indigent?
Yeah, if you're indigent.
Okay.
It's the condition for accessing our services.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you talked about the availability of funds, but the Act that establishes the Legal Aid Council empowers you to source for funds. I think it is called the Access to Justice Fund. How far have you gone with that?
If you look at the Act of 2011, which was the law that repealed the Act of 1976, it made reference to what is called Legal Aid Access to Justice Fund. Unfortunately, over the years, the authorities in Legal Aid Council or government have not taken advantage of this particular provision in the Act. Somehow, when I came in, we looked at the possibility and initiated the process of setting up the Access to Justice Fund. We wrote to the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, SAN, and he graciously approved the constitution of a committee under the supervision of the Solicitor General of the Federation, Mr. Dayo Apota, SAN. And this committee has finalized its assignment. We have submitted our report to the ministry, and the ministry is considering the report. The bottom line is for us to launch the fund, based on both government and private sector participation. And we feel that in view of the paucity of funds available to government institutions, by the time we're able to launch that fund, the Legal Aid Council will have enough funds to run its activities on a permanent basis.
While there was lockdown across the country and indeed across the world, one thing did not abate. Our security challenges in Nigeria did not abate. And I remember going to New Busa with the team that went to try Boko Haram suspects. And the Legal Aid Council was on that trip too. You are standing for some of these Boko Haram people who cannot access lawyers on their own. How far have you gone with that? with the trials?
Well, the trial that started in Kainji was the test trial for the suspects that were detained being accused of committing crimes as Boko Haram suspects. And that trial is ongoing. It started in Kainji. We had the Federal High Court move down to Kainji so that it could try the suspects. A lot of them were tried in Kainji, and those of them that could not be finalized at Kainji were moved down to Abuja, and it's a continuous process, and the trials are going on. And I also want to use this medium to inform the general public that government has set in motion, the possibility of trying all the Boko Haram suspects. The Federal Ministry of Justice is on top of the situation. Very soon, government is going to start trying all the other suspects, especially a lot of them that are held in Maiduguri under detention by the military authorities. And along this line, also, government has made it possible for Legal Aid Council to perform its statutory responsibility of defending the suspects. And I want to assure you that our team of lawyers were in Maiduguri recently, and they have interviewed so many of these suspects, trying to gather their defense so that we could be able to properly put up a defense when the trial commences as soon as possible.
And then you also have a policy that is to train other legal assistants. They call it paralegal services.
Yes.
What is going on with that?
So far, so good with the issue of paralegal services. Perhaps we should also explain to Nigerians the fact that a paralegal service is someone who is working in a legal environment, but who is not a lawyer. In other words, every other person that is working in any legal environment, be it the court system or wherever, and that who is not a lawyer is termed to be a paralegal service. The idea behind paralegal service is for the council to be able to license these paralegal services, paralegal people, when they have some level of education. And along that line, the management of Legal Aid Council has taken bold steps through interaction with some selected universities nationwide. UNILAG is one of them. The intention is to have a curriculum developed so that this selected university could run courses, say certificate courses or degree, and ultimately degree courses in liaison with the National Universities Commission.
What does the Council of Legal Education think about this? Because some people would say it would increase the number of quacks, so to say, in the society.
The Council of Legal Education are supposed to deal with lawyers, and it will be made understandable that these paralegal services are not lawyers. Somehow, lawyers feel threatened, perhaps, by the fact that the paralegal service will take over their jobs. It will not happen because they will never, and they are not supposed to operate as lawyers.
Yeah, these are just our efforts to brush up the activities of parastatals under the Ministry of Justice, having gone through the doldrum in months back. But I think as things pick up now, we will see how these activities come a long way in enhancing access to justice in Nigeria.
A federal high court sitting in Lagos has ordered the extension of the deadline for national identity number NIN by 2 months. Justice Maureen Onyechu granted the extension while delivering a ruling in a fundamental rights suit filed by the legal practitioner Mr. Monday Obani, against the federal government, the Attorney General of the Federation, Nigerian Communication Commission, and the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy. In the suit, Obani had contended that the initial 2-week ultimatum, now extended to April 6, 2021, given to telecommunication operators to block SIM cards of Nigerians who have not registered their SIM card with NIM, if allowed, will infringe right to freedom of expression, right to own movable property, and rights to life. He therefore asked the court for an extension, halting the said ultimatum and extending the deadline. Also, Justice M.T. Muhammad of the Federal High Court, Port Harcourt, has convinced and sentenced one Mr. Jonathan Ateru, Managing Director, Chris Morris Nigeria Limited, and his company to 10 years imprisonment for conspiracy to commit felony and obtaining money under false pretense to the form of 200 million naira. In Ekiti State, the Chief Magistrate Court sitting in Ado-Ekiti has ordered the remand of 3 suspected alleged involved in killing of 2 persons during the by-election in Ekiti East State Constituency 1. They were suspected to have committed the offense of conspiracy and attempted murder. A high court sitting in Ida, Kogi State, has sentenced one Oche Edicha to 12 years and 6 months imprisonment for killing of Salome Abu, a People's Democratic Party woman leader, during the last governorship election in Kogi State. The defendants were arraigned on the offense of criminal conspiracy, armed robbery, mischief by fire, and culpable homicide. Late Salome Abu died in the most gruesome murder on November 18, 2019, after she was shot and set ablaze in Ochedemu in Ofu local government area of Kogi State.
Thank you for being part of the program today. We shall be extracting more areas that have to do with justice dispensation in the days to come, and we'll be glad to see you again.